For the executive summary, Carnival Cruise Line is a reputable cruise company founded in 1972, which specializes in fun family vacations to your most beautiful and exotic locations. So this summary provides a comprehensive overview of Carnival Cruise Line as a prominent player in the thriving cruise industry. It will delve into the industry's key aspects, the company's profile, a SWOT analysis, and an exploration of key challenges and proposed solutions. So Carnival Cruise Line operates in a dynamic cruise industry, providing a variety of cruise experiences to suit a wide range of consumer tastes. The industry has had sustained expansion, establishing it as a major player in the worldwide travel and tourist market. Carnival, with its rich history and dedication to excellence, is also a key player in creating the industry's landscape. The industry's compliance with severe government regulations guarantees that safety standards and environmental sustainability are maintained. Carnival Cruise Line is also a long-standing industry. Presence is founded on its unwavering mission, vision, and guiding values. The company's vast product segmentation and services cover a wide range of destinations, itineraries, and cruise ship types, making it a popular choice for travelers all over the world. So a thorough financial study also will be listed below, which will highlight Carnival Cruise Line's financial strength and durability, confirming the company's status as a top cruise provider. Adapting to the changing post-pandemic travel scene is therefore going to be a vital concern for ensuring resilient operations. And proposed solutions aim to address these difficulties head on, ensuring that Carnival Cruise Line will continue to deliver excellent cruise experiences while successfully managing changing trends.
Carnival Cruise Line is a company within the travel and tourism industry. They are very well known for providing cruise products, services, and vacation experiences. Carnival has multiple ship ports around the world providing vacation cruises. Other key players in the industry are Royal Caribbean, MSC Cruises, and Norwegian Cruises. The key distinction between regular travel and cruise travel is that cruise lines offer round trips with a focus on pleasure, whereas passenger lines primarily focus on travel from one location to another. Carnival is one of the major cruise lines offering destination cruises, luxury cruises, classic cruises. Major offerings in Carnival are vacation cruises with an all-inclusive amenities, food and drinks, entertainment, and destination getaways. Carnival's audience tends to be more of a family-oriented with children, parent audience, whereas some other cruises may offer more like couples cruises or senior citizen cruises. Carnival seems to offer more of a friendly family getaway, more affordable prices.
Hi everybody, this is Mariah and I will be presenting the slide about size and growth. So the cruise industry is doing better than ever and growing with no stop in sight. After the pandemic, people were getting the itch to travel, and what's a better vacation than a relaxing cruise? So it's actually projected that from 2022 to 2028, the cruise industry is expected to grow annually about 11%, which is pretty great considering that we went down around 80% during the pandemic, since people couldn't travel and there was a lot of things going on, a lot of different guidelines. But now that things are opening up, the industry is finally growing, which is really exciting, and it's definitely booming. It's actually expected to become a $15 billion market by 2028, which is a big change from when it was last measured in 2021 as a $7.35 billion market. So a big jump there, which is what we want to see, which is great. The cruise industry brings in about $150 billion in economic activity yearly, with $50 billion of that going to salaries and wages for the 1.7 million jobs they support and employ. So although a big chunk of that goes directly to their employees, we still have a big chunk of $100 billion of economic activity yearly. As of 2018, Carnival Cruise Lines brought in $18.9 billion in revenue and was on top of the leaderboard for the revenue it brought into the industry. So once again, Carnival Cruise comes out on top, known as one of the biggest cruise lines in the world. So not a surprise that we brought in so much money and we were on the top of the leaderboard for the revenue it brought into the entire cruise industry, which is very exciting. So this slide is about the degree of industry concentration that is specific to Carnival Cruise Lines. So the degree of the cruise industry's concentration would be considered high as it is shared by mainly 3 companies, one of those being Carnival Cruise Lines. This level of concentration can mean many things for the company. One thing being that we are at the top of the leaderboard so far, so our competition comes close but never exceeds. We have the upper hand so far. Much of the market is shared by Carnival Corporation Cruise Lines, Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, and Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines. According to the market share of 2023, Carnival Corporation holds 47.12% of the market, when Norwegian Cruise Lines holds 19.33% of the market, and Royal Caribbean holds around 33.57% of the market. As of May 2023, Carnival Corporation has a market cap of $13.34 billion. So having a high concentration market means that we know exactly who our competitors are, since there's only 2 others. Not to say that there aren't more cruise lines that are competitors, but our 2 big ones being Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean, of course. So it's easy to actively work on improvements and see what we can do to keep us ahead of the game. You know, we have the advantage so far with the highest market segment and the highest revenue in the industry, making 40% of all cruise industry revenue. And we are currently running as the largest cruise vacation company in the world and are only continuing to grow. So we are in a good place right now, and we intend to keep it that way and have a lot of ways to ensure that we are continuing to improve and be the best and keep our name.
Hello, my name is Leslie, and I will be speaking about government regulations for the cruise industry. I have named 3 government regulations that Carnival Cruise Line has to abide by. The Coast Guard is in charge of enforcing this first regulation, which is all cruises, including Carnival Cruise Line, they have to develop a prohibited items list that must be posted and reflecting on every screening location. This is something that is obligated for them to follow, so that we can make sure that guests do not bring anything onto the ship that is not supposed to be there, any devices that can be dangerous, or any substances that could be dangerous as well. So in order to ensure that, along with doing the screenings, passengers do not bring something that shouldn't be, there will be signs there to make them aware. So if it is the case, and then they can let somebody know or dispose of it. All ships are also, number 2, required to have a life-saving equipment, structural fire protection, watercraft integrity and stability, vessel control, navigation, safety, crewing and crew competency, safety management, and environmental protection. So the cruise line has to have training and protocols and procedures that they must have for their ships. This is a requirement. They must have, in the case of an emergency, have lifeboats, life vests. They must have procedures on if there's a fire. They must have watercraft. They must have a crew that is knowledgeable on how to maneuver the craft. The crew must be competent. They must know what they are doing. There must be management that is overseeing safety. So this is a regulation. It is required for them to have a team and procedures for each of these areas. And lastly, cruise ship owners and operators are required to ensure that screening is performed in accordance with the screening qualifications. So in other words, The owners and operators of the cruise ship of Carnival Cruise Line, on each ship, they must have somebody that has gone through the screening training. This is an obligation, is required. It's a regulation for screen training to be completed, and the equipment to be available upon every screening checkpoint, and it must be available for use. Hello,
This slide is about the history of Carnival Cruise Lines. So as we all know, Carnival Cruise Lines is widely known as the Fun Cruise. They have fun taglines such as the fun ships, fun for all for fun, and choose fun. So they are all about the guest experience and making sure that it is a fun experience all around, even for their employees. You know, they have been choosing fun since 1972 when the late Ted Arison formed the company. Then in 1974, he made the bold risk of buying full ownership of the company for $1 in cash and the assumption of $5 million in debt, which is crazy to think about. They really kicked off in 1987 when Carnival made the initial public offering of 20% of its common stock, which provided the initial influx of capital that allowed the company to begin expanding through acquisition. So along with Ted's spirit and passion for the company, the first and only ship Carnival had, Mardi Gras, was so unique and festive that it provided the company with the foundation it needed to turn a $1 investment into the most popular cruise line in the industry. So the mission statement, the vision statement, and guiding principles all work hand in hand. The vision and mission statements both follow the guiding principles of the cruise line's Carnival values. So the mission statement is as follows: together we deliver joyful vacation experiences and breakthrough shareholder returns by exceeding guest expectations and leveraging our industry-leading scale. So the values are to ensure safe, responsible, and secure operations, warmly welcome guests and team members to their new home, making them feel a part of the Carnival family, embracing diversity and inclusivity, engaging by being friendly, smiling, and using names, showing trust, care, and respect for each other, the ships, and the environment, anticipating needs, responding rapidly, and owning issues until they are resolved, living and sharing a positive attitude, and showing pride in the job and company, including fun in everything we do, of course. So Carnival Cruise Line's vision statement is as follows. At Carnival Corporation and PLC, our highest responsibility and top priority is compliance, environmental protection, and the health, safety, and well-being of our guests, the people in the communities we touch and serve, and our shipboard and shoreside employees. On this foundation, we aspire to deliver unmatched, joyful vacations for our guests, always exceeding their expectations, and in doing so, driving outstanding shareholder value. We are committed to a positive and just corporate culture based on inclusion and the power of diversity. We operate with integrity, trust, and respect for each other, communicating, coordinating, and collaborating while seeking candor, openness, and transparency at all times. And we aspire to be an exemplary corporate citizen, leaving the people and the places we touch even better.
Product segmentation and offerings. The idea of a cruise line industry is to provide a full spectrum of entertainment on and off the ship that helps guests get away from their everyday lives and enjoy a vacation they will never forget. Carnival operates with 24 ships that offer between 2 and 31-day trips, setting sail from almost every port in the U.S. Carnival is best known for their Caribbean destinations. One thing that really differentiates Carnival from some of its competitors, it caters to cruisers from all demographics, ages, and walks of life. Carnival is also seen as a fun ship in comparison to its competitors. Carnival has so many offerings as far as nightclubs, comedy shows, live entertainment on and off the ship. They offer expeditions on your destinations that they collaborate to give you great tours as well.
Okay, so Carnival Cruise Line's financial situation at the moment with this financial analysis. So according to macro trends, Carnival's current ratio, which measures the company's ability to pay its short-term obligations, is at a 0.64. A current ratio below 1 indicates that their short-term liabilities exceed their current assets, which is suggesting potential liquidity issues. Their debt to equity ratio is 5.30, which is indicating that they have a significant amount of debt compared to the value of their shareholders' investments. This high debt to equity ratio can make it challenging for the company to attract new investors and should signal financial risk. Carnival's strategies for improving the liquidity. So to address their financial situation, Carnival is taking several measures to improve liquidity. These measures include completing various capital market transactions, reducing capital expenditures, operating expenses, and also retiring certain old ships that they have. Their year-to-date liquidity stands at about $8.1 billion, which demonstrates efforts to increase their available cash and their financial resources. Okay, so like one of their top competitors, Royal Caribbean, they also face the financial challenges due to the impact of COVID-19. They too have taken extra debt to keep their operations running, which is leading to a high debt to equity ratio of 10.8 for them, indicating substantial debt in relation to shareholders' investments as well. Improving the occupancy rate and projected revenue. So despite the challenges, there are positive signs for Carnival Cruise Line. The occupancy rate, which measures the percentage of cabins occupied by passengers, has improved and reached 75%. So this suggests increasing demand for Carnival cruise vacations. The company projects an occupancy rate from more than 100% for the fiscal year of 2023, indicating strong demand and a potential return to normal operations. The industry analysts, they were predicting a considerable revenue increase of 72% in the fiscal 2023 year, which was totaling at about $20.9 billion. This projected revenue surpasses Carnival's pre-pandemic sales in 2019, which is indicating a positive trajectory for the company's financial recovery. And the importance of managing this debt and increasing the profits for Carnival. So given the high debt levels and challenges in liquidity, it's crucial for both Carnival Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean to prioritize using profits to decrease debt and improve profitability. While there are some positive signs of recovery, prudent financial management and measures to reduce debt will be essential to navigate future challenges successfully for Carnival.
So just like any cruise line or any company really, Carnival Cruise Line does have some weaknesses. So fuel cost is a big weakness because fuel can be anywhere from $80,000 to $200,000 a day, depending on the ship and cruise line. One way to soften the blow of higher fuel prices is to temporarily charge our guests more to make up for that cost. But in doing so, we would need to figure out a way to also offer them more for paying more. So another weakness could be that the majority of Carnival's market is from the US. About 52% of the Carnival's revenue comes from their US customers. So in doing that, we are cutting off a big part or big percentage of our potential customers, since that we don't have many outgoing and different country cruise lines. So that is a big untapped market that we should be tapping. So another huge weakness is how we are portrayed in the public eye due to bad publicity and our lack of social media presence. So a lot of people think because our prices are lower than other cruise lines, that we are cheap, that we don't take care of our employees, we don't take care of our customers, and that they're getting this low price for a less experience. And that is not true in any way. We just have to bring up our lack of social media, we need to gain a lack of social media presence and try to combat that bad publicity and how we are portrayed in the public eye. So also, half of our revenue is generated in non-US currency but is reported in terms of US dollars. So the value of the dollar against the euro appreciated from 1.60 in January 2010 to 1.53 by April 2010 against the pound. So if the dollar strengthens, it would record a lower revenue than is actually earned. So that is also a big weakness that we have.
Some factors that make Carnival a leader in its class is Carnival holds nearly 50% of the market share in almost all the world markets around the world, with about 65% in Italy alone. Since Carnival is such a large company, this offers Carnival the unique opportunity for large cost advantages and discounts more than their competitors do. So, for instance, when purchasing food or any other kind of supplies for the ship or for their ships, Carnival has a way better price point than a smaller cruise ship line or a company that just doesn't have the buying power that Carnival does. Carnival has a 94% customer satisfaction rating. Of that 94%, 82% of those passengers say that cruising is the best way to seek out and explore new destinations around the world for vacations. The company also aggressively invests in television advertising and marketing to get their brand and their ship company noticed.
Under the internal environmental evaluation opportunities, by focusing on these factors listed below and capitalizing on emerging market trends, Carnival Cruise Line can position itself for sustained success and growth in the ever-expanding cruise industry. So under the Asian vacation markets, Asian countries like China and India have experienced economic growth, leading to a rising middle class with more disposable income. This can create a demand for leisure and vacation experiences. Carnival can expand in the Asian market, targeting affluent consumers seeking luxury holiday experiences. With the continued interest in cruising, the cruise industry has seen steady growth in passenger numbers over the years, showing sustained interest in cruising. Therefore, Carnival can take advantage of this trend by offering appealing itineraries, personalized services, and onboard experiences to cater to different passenger demographics. Targeting the European and Australian markets, the Europeans and Australians have more paid vacation days than North Americans, so this presents an opportunity for Carnival to target these markets by offering longer cruise durations or multi-destination voyages to maximize their vacation time. Under the global travel industry growth, the overall travel and tourism industry is predicted to grow, providing more opportunities for cruise companies like Carnival. So to benefit from this growth, Carnival should continue innovating its products and providing unique experiences that set it apart from its competitors. And as a fast-growing segment, cruising is one of the fastest growing segments in the travel industry right now. So creating significant chances for Carnival to gain market share and attract new customers. To capitalize on this expansion, the company can increase the number of vessels, launch ships with unique features, and they can focus on niche markets like adventure cruises and themed vacations.
On this slide, I will be discussing threats for Carnival Cruise Line. While there are many threats and many things that could affect performance and revenue for Carnival Cruise Line, I will specifically go over three. one threat is diseases and illnesses. We firsthand went through the pandemic, COVID, in 2020, which halted our business and travel and Carnival Cruise Line. So this just might not be the last pandemic or disease or illness that may spread. There may be many more to come. So diseases and illnesses are always a threat for Carnival Cruise Lines, especially if it is a disease or an illness that's highly contagious. The spread of coronavirus, Ebola virus, swine flu, SARS resulted in decline in tourist arrivals in the affected countries. So in the past, we have seen diseases, illnesses that have already affected the performance of Carnival Cruise Line, which led to many cancellations, it led to many rebookings, it led to refunds. So this will be a constant threat, and it's something that can happen at any moment, and it is something that may happen in the future as well. It is something that is unfortunately out of their control. There's also another threat of competition. One of the top competitors is other cruise lines. The company must also compete with land-based vacation alternatives throughout the world. So they are competing with amusement parks, with water parks that are, of course, on land and not on ship. So that is one of their competitors. Other attractions that are available on land, as some people do not like to travel on ship, or some people get seasick, or some people don't like to travel on a boat. So they will always be in competition with land-based attractions, as well as hotels, resorts, theme parks, casino operations, organized tours, vacation properties that have multiple amenities available. So of course, competition, other brands such as Royal Caribbean will always be a threat or something that can affect revenue for Carnival Cruise Line. Another threat is natural disasters, acts of nature, acts of God. Natural disasters such as wildfires that can take place such as taking place in Greece and Turkey, cyclones, earthquakes, floods, snowstorms. So if a cruise line and one of its itineraries to go to a specific country, if there is a natural disaster taking place in a specific country, if there is a snowstorm, if anything unexpected can affect the cruise line from going to that specific country, then it can affect the itinerary. It can affect their finances. They may have to turn back. It may shorten the trip. They may have to figure out alternatives, which at the end can affect also their fuel and the plans that they had in store. This can also upset guests. Although it's not in control of the cruise line, some guests will like to want a refund, or they might want a discount just because they were not able to go or do what was originally planned. So unfortunately, this is something that can reduce and affect operations, and again, out of their control. But unfortunately, they would just have to go with it and find a way to find a solution or to make guests happy. So this is another threat, but this is something that can happen unexpectedly.
Product identification. In the midst of bouncing back from challenges of the pandemic, Carnival is facing economic uncertainties and changes in customer preference. And Carnival must find a way to cut costs without disrupting their customer satisfaction and still manage to offer a number of options for their guests, including amenities and menu items. Problem origins. As we all know, one of the most impactful events in history to the hospitality industry and to the entire world was the COVID-19 pandemic. It caused so many changes in how we do business, in how we travel, and how we vacation. And Carnival was no exception to that impact. Although Carnival is such a large company within the travel cruise industry, they are also struggling to make up for losses in annual revenue due to this COVID-19 pandemic. In some efforts to increase profitability and regain lost revenue, Carnival has begun to make some changes on their cruise ships, including changes in menu offerings, changes in some of the amenities that are offered, changes in pricing, to try and recuperate, again, losses for the previous years due to the COVID pandemic. This is one of the major issues and one of the major problems that Carnival is facing right now is recuperating revenues from pandemic losses.
The problem solution. The solution to Carnival's problems lies within the costs and expenses of the ship and how that can affect the pricing of a cruise. So cutting out or lowering certain expenses will help Carnival be able to make their prices more reasonable, which will result in happier customer base, since that is something that is a big problem and a big complaint within our community. In addition to prices, lack of amenities is something that was brought into Carnival's attention by many of its customers. Now that the constrictions from the COVID-19 guidelines have calmed down and have been lifted, Carnival can now begin to roll out a lot more of their amenities that their customers know and love, as well as bring in new experiences for those customers. Opening up their customer base to outside the US is also extremely beneficial and can help that problem of 50% of our customer base being untapped because it is off our shores. So in doing so, we can bring in more money and give more to our experiences and offer those experiences in different countries. So lowering the cost and adding new amenities and activities on board will bring back the life and excitement of Carnival Cruise Lines. So the solution justification. So we need these solutions because with the cost to upkeep the ship being so high, it forces Carnivals to raise prices and lessens their experience to compensate for it. So cruise lines spend billions of dollars on the upkeep of the ship. Carnival specifically has an operating expense of about $4.79 billion for one quarter as of May 31st, 2023. And this is about a 23% increase year to year. So going through unnecessary expenses and replacing less popular amenities with more popular ones can actually bring Carnival back to the cruise line it used to be. So creating new bundles and deals in a great way to keep people coming in. People won't mind spending more if they're actually getting more for their experience. So opening up our customer base outside of US can also help Carnival expand and offer unique and fresh experiences to keep old and new customers coming in. And since there is a big demand in the European market, so taking advantage of that can be extremely beneficial. And if Carnival does not take action to heighten their experience and offer it for a reasonable cost, their cruise line competitors would definitely step in to take their spot as the most popular cruise line. So this is our solution process and its timeline. So Carnival Cruise Line Corp should roll out a 5-step plan over the next 5 years in order to come up with an effective solution for their problems. So I suggest that within the first year, it's imperative that research and data is taken on what are the most popular items and amenities based on customer reviews or surveys. This way we can make sure our staples, which will be the items and services and experiences that will not be a change across the board, to ensure our regular customers are continue to be happy. So for this first year, we are also collecting data on our monthly expenses and brainstorming ways to bring those down. Within the second year, this is the second step of the process, and we will be putting into place those staples while also creating new bundles and deals that will help bring more people in for a reasonable price while it's higher, because we are still figuring out our expenses. So our step 3 in year 3 plan will be researching ways to expand our company to Europe and looking into ways to make this experience beneficial to the company. So this is going to be trying to figure out what are the unique experiences that other cruise lines are offering that we can once we start expanding into that area. So also our 4th year and 4th step will be to implement the previous researched solution to our expenses and cutting down on them. It will also be the time to implement those new experiences and amenities while taking out the less popular ones. So this is the year that we finally put into action all of our research. Year 5 will be everything starting to come together. So we will begin to put out updated pricing for the cruises and making sure that they are less costly, or making sure that they are compensated with more amenities and experiences included. Bringing down the expenses and bringing up the profit is our number 1 responsibility and priority.
Measuring success. Carnival can measure their success through customer satisfaction scores, revenue per passenger, and through occupancy. So, in order for Carnival Cruise Line to be able to determine if the program that they have implemented is currently working, if it is something that guests are okay with, that they're enjoying, that they find as a positive, is through customer satisfaction scores. That's how you will know what guests really feel, how guests are really thinking. That's how you will know if they like what the direction you're going. So reviews will determine if what Carnival is doing is working, and the data can be also used to compare results with previous quarters. So in order to determine if the changes that are being made are creating a positive impact for the cruise ship, you can compare the results from the scores and the reviews and compare them to the previous quarters, and which didn't include the change. So if you want to see if there is something is positive and there's been a gain and it's improved the guest experience, that would be the only way to measure it, to see if it's something that they can move forward with, or it should be removed. You can also determine the criteria for success through revenue per passenger. So cruise ships make money through 2 channels, through ticket sales and through onboarding purchases. It's through alcoholic drinks, for example, casino gambling, spa treatments, also through shore excursions, buying at the gift shop, which passengers pay with preloaded cruise cards. So if there is changes that are being implemented on the offering, the amenities or service on the cruise ship, in order to determine if that is being successful, you can find out through revenue per passenger. So if the changes are sparking activity, if people are finding interest in it, then we will be able to see that through our revenue per passenger. So we will be able to see in detail, okay, we implemented this new spa, we implemented this new service, are people buying, is there activity? So you'll be able to see how much revenue each of these areas are making, so then you will know if this is something that we should keep or it should be something that should be removed. So Carnival Cruise Line, they should be able to measure that through being able to see how much each passenger is making, or is these changes causing people to want to spend more? Is this these offerings also making people want to book with them? Is this making people want, is this a service that is not like no other, so people want to spend more money? Is this bringing more revenue? Are people more spending more money on these services? Are they booking with us just for these services? So this is something for Carnival Cruise Line to keep in mind. And you can also measure success through occupancy. Are the changes that that Carnival Cruise Line is implementing, is that causing more bookings? Is it bringing in more occupancy? So what changes to the guest experience can be done to improve occupancy? How can we bounce back from the times of COVID? So this is how we will know if these changes to the program will be causing our occupancy to improve. For the full year of 2023, the company expects occupancy of 100% or higher, returning to historical levels this summer coming up. Carnival Chief Executive Officer Josh commented that in the first quarter, we outperformed our guidance in all measures. We achieved record for first quarter per diems, exceeding the high end of our guidance, driven by improving ticket prices and sustained growth in onboard revenue. So not only has occupancy for the first quarter have been improving, but people are buying more, onboarding feature services, and through increasing ticket prices has also helped revenue and also helped occupancy. In this section, I will be discussing the sustainability plan. So how do we sustain this program? How do we sustain these increases in occupancy? How do we sustain these numbers? How do we sustain this revenue or exceed our revenue that we've made this first beginning of the year? How do you sustain that? Number one, through continuously innovating. Invest in advertising. Invest in making it known to other people what you are offering. Make changes. Do something that your competitors are not doing. Do something different. Make a twist out of it. Advertise the changes that you're making, showing them, making it known through social media, through commercials. Get to know your market. Learn your audience. Get to know as times are changing. Try to reach the new generation, reach the new audience. What are people into these days? What are they looking for? What kind of experience are they looking for? Are they looking for just rest and relaxation? Are they looking for fun? What are their interests? What are their expectations? What do they want to see in these days? What can we change? What feature can be added? Should we be more technological? Get to know your audience, get to know your market, get to know their dislikes and likes, get to know why people are traveling these days, get to know who's traveling. Reach a different audience or target market that you haven't reached before so you can get a greater audience so you can increase your occupancy. Number two, review customer feedback. Compare present results to past results. What are guests saying? What are guests experiencing? How are guests feeling? What is their input? What is their feedback? Is there something that they're mentioning that Carnival Cruise Lines can implement? Is there something that they can improve on, they can change? Is there a feature? Is there even receiving feedback from employees through people that have, the employees that have had firsthand experience, interactions with guests, or even what can be improved operationally, so that the guest experience can go smoothly, it can be seamless, so that we can sustain this plan. Third, set long-term and short-term goals. If we want to sustain this plan, let's have a short-term goal to reach and have a long-term goal. Let's put benchmarks to reach, targets, goals. How can we reach this first milestone? What can we do? Get the team involved. Get your employees involved. Get to know. Get everybody on board so that they can create a change, so that we can, in order to sustain it, so that everything is not all at once, create those long-term and short-term goals so that you can space everything out, so that it's not everything all at once, so it's not overwhelming. So Carnival Cruise Line must also have a contingency plan for failure. While there's always a chance that the program and the changes might not be successful, there has to be a plan B. So if it is a case that it does not follow through and it is not successful, the team should investigate and figure out why it wasn't working, why what they implemented didn't work. And Carnival Cruise Line has to find out if everyone is doing their part. So they must investigate to see if maybe there are staff members that are not implementing the changes or enforcing it with their team. Again, it's very important to have a plan of action if it fails. These factors may also include weather conditions, wars, pandemics, maintenance issues, being short-staffed, lack of success of business ideas, which can affect the program, failure to successfully implement business strategies, and follow resuming of guest cruise operations will negatively impact the occupancy levels as well as pricing, and could really affect their business if they don't know how to bounce back or how to make alterations or to adapt to the current times or adapt from what isn't working or make the changes that is necessary. In the cases the program fails, Carnival has to reevaluate their choices and figure out new ways where they can address current liabilities and again make any changes or figure out what may be hindering them from moving forward.